In May, a panel of 5 judges of the Constitutional Court nullified the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Bill 2016 on technical grounds that it had been passed without the necessary quorum. It was to the joy of the petitioners, a group of farmers growing and dealing in cut under the Wakiso Miraa Growers and Dealers Association Limited. On 23rd May, the government, through the Ministry of Internal Affairs, reintroduced the bill in Parliament. The purpose of the previous law, which sought to criminalize the use, farming, supply, and trading in prohibited substances, was maintained. Surprisingly, when the sponsors of the bill were accorded the first opportunity to speak on its intent, the suggestion of Internal Affairs Minister Kahindo Tafire was a departure from the intended criminalization of cut and cannabis.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we better remove cut from the prohibited substances. Because if cut was that dangerous, how come there are people in Somalia? It's a cash crop. Similar to coffee, because if you drink 15 cups of coffee, you will die. You drink 15 cups of coffee, one after another, you will die. You have abused coffee.
Otafire focused on the economics of the trade in cut, saying Kenya, a neighboring country, was making a kill from cut.
They make $120 million from exporting Miraa to Somalia alone. They don't export to Somalia alone, they export to Yemen, they export to other places. But they make $120 million.
He also pushed for the legalization of the controlled growing of medical cannabis, which is supported by the licensed dealers.
Emphasize the bill should indicate medical purposes, not recreational purposes.
So you are against
recreational use?
Thank you.
Marijuana across the whole board would stop the inflow of hard drugs coming in from the West, like amphetamines, ecstasy, speed, cocaine, and heroin, which are being promoted by the West.
The lady says it causes psychosis. Ganja is actually anti-psychotic. Now, why are we discussing legalization or otherwise? We ought to know that there has been a conspiracy running since 1930.
For us, we are talking about exempting medicinal cannabis. The Rastas were talking about their stuff. I'm also against their stuff. The other cannabis of my friends, the Rastas, don't involve me.
The arguments were carried forward on the floor of Parliament to have cut removed from the list of the prohibited substances, with the suggestion for its control the way it is with alcohol and tobacco.
They drive the traders, long-distance truck drivers, and they say as they consume this product, it keeps them awake. And this is the work they do. This is their line of work.
Health professionals persuaded the MPs to maintain the prohibition premised on the case of high costs to health, which view was reflected in the final report of the Defense and Internal Affairs Committee that processed the bill. Although the effects of cut are ordinarily considered mild, health experts argue that the drug can cause mood swings associated with sleeping difficulties and anxiety, tooth decay, ulcers, blood pressure, addiction, and dependence.
Affects coordination, affects the balance and the reaction time, which may impair driving and operating machinery. It also has the respiratory issues such as chronic bronchitis from smoking cannabis.
As a mental health fraternity, we therefore recommend that a public health approach should be ensured in the bill, that cannabis and cut should be considered dangerous psychoactive substances with grave impact on individuals, communities, and in the long term on the nation.
A certain position.
What he was explaining, that it helps the drivers of trucks not to sleep, and yet we are getting so many accidents on the roads caused by some of these, the effects of these, taking some of these things.
And I want to say, as a representative of persons with disabilities, that we have no intention whatsoever of increasing the number of any form of disability. That's why the government, the NRM government, has kicked out polio.
Cat farmers were again at a loss as Parliament went on to approve the bill stipulating fines of up to 1 billion shillings or 20 years imprisonment for possession of the drugs and life in prison for trafficking. Wakiso cat growers did not have the opportunity to hear the decision of the court on whether it was wrong for Parliament to have prohibited the cultivation, possession, consumption, sale, purchase, distribution, importation and exportation of cat.
Those in favor say aye, to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
The bill awaits presidential assent to become law. Jackson Onyango, NTV.